Hey everyone, this is an Amalgia video for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, and today we're going to be talking about River Belle Path Cycle 2. If you find any of the information in this video helpful, please subscribe, it really helps us out. A quick note that applies to more than just River Belle Path Cycle 2, it even applies to some of the Cycle 1 dungeons. In the Remastered Edition, you can now get +5 artifacts out of Cycle 1 and Cycle 2 dungeons if you have enough bonus points. Luck is still involved, and having high bonus points doesn't guarantee you a +5 artifact in these earlier cycles, but it is something new to the Remastered Edition that was different from the original game. The overall layout of this dungeon is exactly the same as it was in Cycle 1. What is different now are there are much harder enemies to deal with. The goblins in this dungeon are the same, so you don't really have to worry about them. After this one's defeated, head to the right so that you can kill the enemies there and hopefully get some Cure Magicite. Having Cure Magicite will be very helpful for when you're trying to fight that gray hedgehog pie. There will be 3 goblins over here, but there's nothing special about them, so just take them down. The gray hedgehog pie I mentioned is one of the more dangerous enemies in this dungeon because not only is it immune to all 3 types of magic, but it has a huge blast radius on one of its attacks. When he leans back, that means he's about to do his jumping slam attack. It has a huge blast radius. It's possible to defend it in time, and it's possible to run out of range in time as long as you're not locked in the middle of an attack. There's a goblin to the southwest here, and up that northwestern path there's another one of those gray hedgehog pies. The jumping attack that the gray hedgehog pies have is very powerful, but their normal attack isn't, so one strategy is to get them in close quarters and defend whenever they do the jump, and then if they're just hitting you with their normal attack, just try to melee them down as fast as you can. They'll often try to back up and retreat away from you, so pushing them against the wall can help. In this center area there are some goblins, but there's also a new dangerous enemy that we haven't dealt with before. Griffins are very large enemies, and it's advisable to fight them at a distance. Fighting them at a distance makes them jump into the air and shoot a wind blast at you, whereas being close to them, they stomp on the ground and do a large stun attack that hits all the way around them. A griffin can also turn and hit you with its tail, but it's not that dangerous of an attack. Take out the goblin so you can focus on fighting the griffin. Spell fusion with ice can really help against this enemy because it often gets frozen. They also have very high HP, which can make them pose a problem if you're fighting them in a group of other enemies. Grab this treasure chest and then head southeast along the beach in order to get to a gray hedgehog pie and a red hedgehog pie. As long as the gray hedgehog pie hasn't spotted you, it's better to deal with the red one first as it's a lot easier. As you can see, the red ones aren't immune to magic and they freeze easily. Sneak up on the gray one and then deal with it in the same way we talked about before. Like we talked about in Cycle 1, these switches down in the southwest that lower the drawbridge are absolutely useless unless you want to go back to the front entrance quicker. Heading up the eastern side, there will be a goblin and a goblin mage in this narrow hallway. When they're defeated, keep heading up the path in order to encounter a moo and another gray hedgehog pie. The hedgehog pie is south of the moon near the treasure chest, so kill him and then open the treasure chest so that we can get on our way back to the center of the stage. Like in Cycle 1, there will be some moo enemies hidden under the ground. First there's one, and then behind that is a set of 2. If you line up your magic correctly, you can hit both of them at the same time with one spell as they come at you. Up here on this ledge where the treasure chest is, there's a moo and a large goblin. They're not difficult, so take them out. Grab the treasure chest up on this ledge, and then we're heading east. There's just a moo and a goblin guarding that northeastern treasure chest, so burn through them and then head west across the broken bridge. Snag the treasure chest to the north, and then head southwest and fight the hidden moo down by the gate. Fighting the moo is just for bonus points and completion. You don't actually need his key to open the gate because the gate just leads back to the beginning and we've already dispatched all the enemies. Next you'll encounter a griffin and a moo. Kill the moo first and then deal with the griffin. From here we head northeast, and this is the trickiest part of the dungeon if you end up getting all of the enemies on you. There's a large goblin, a small goblin, a goblin mage, and a griffin. Behind this group to the east, there's also a second griffin, so if for some reason you ran over there and have 2 griffins on you and all these enemies, then it's best to retreat until they walk back to their spawn point. Took me a long time to find 2 blizzard magicite, but now I can show you how easily the griffin gets frozen. Frozen enemies can't move, and they also take increased damage, so it's one of the better status effects to land. Clean up any enemies you may have missed, and remember that there's still a treasure chest at that forking path to the northwest. Another note on Griffins in this dungeon is that they can drop Mithril. Mithril normally costs 5,000 gil to buy at a shop in town. If you're still in year 2 or 3 at this point, Mithril will probably be the material that you're missing in order to get the next highest stage of gear you need. Now we're heading to the boss. The boss is exactly the same as in Cycle 1, just with increased HP and defense. Since you should be used to all his attacks by now, I'm not really going to talk about him much, but I will talk about what he can drop. When bosses in Crystal Chronicles are defeated, they add one more artifact to your artifact list at the end of the dungeon, and what they drop is based on the total amount of bonus points you've amassed. Not only was I able to get a +5 magic artifact out of this dungeon, like I told you in the beginning, but I also was able to get a legendary weapon schematic off the boss. In the old game, getting access to legendary weapon schematics at this point in the game was not possible. While it's something nice to have, you would still need orichalcum in order to make it, and I have not yet seen one drop off of a boss in a final dungeon. Anyway, that's all there is to the second cycle of River Belle Path. Cycle 3 will start when you obtain 4 more drops of myrrh after this dungeon. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.